everybody, this is the Wikstrand. So I have spoken on many occasions that I really have some problems with the fish out of water stories that sometimes pops up in different movies. You know, when a character comes from either a different time or a different world, to the modern times or to our worlds, and you know, experience all these wacky nonsense that they experience. They cannot figure out how telephones or how televisions works and stuff like that, and the comedy is supposed to follow it automatically. And I usually think that they always do these things backwards, because in my opinion it's much more interesting when you're having a character from our time popping up in a different time or a different world. What would you like to see? Sonic the Hedgehog running around in Montana? Or some guy running around with Sonic in his worlds, in the loops and all that good stuff? To me, it's a no-brainer. Now, the movie that we're going to take a look at today is proof, if proof has ever been needed, that you can do this sort of stories. If this isn't the best fish out of water story I've ever seen, it certainly is one of the top 3, top 5 at least. But let's find out why that is the case, shall we see. This is The Visitors. France, 1123. So we have a knight played by Jean Reno and his squire, who is a complete idiot and a complete dunderhead, played by Christian Clavier. Now, they are sent into our time by a sorcerer who I think suffered from some kind of a dementia and really wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but that is a story for another time. Now, they end up in France in the 90s in the exact same location as where they left. That is also why they are able to track down their descendants who still lives in the area, and his castle is still there even though it is taken over by somebody else who were able to do that in his absence. And Jean Reno's idea of the whole thing is that if he cannot reclaim his birthright here, he has to be able to go back to his own time to be able to fix what got messed up in the past. That is essentially what this story is about. But we're gonna have to wait a long time to get to that point in the movie, because what this movie's strength is and what this movie's absolute majority consists of is them completely misunderstanding everything that goes on in France in the mid-90s. And here is where this movie shines, because this is a French movie. This is not an American movie. An American movie done by an American director starring American actors, they would have to think one step ahead to think about, how would a knight from the 12th century act when he ended up here in France? This is a movie with French people behind and in front of the camera. Therefore, they have a much closer connection to the culture they're trying to portray. Therefore, they don't have to think that much. And also, the commitment by Jean Reno and Christian Clavier is absolutely amazing. They, think about stuff that we don't think about when we're talking about, the difference between medieval time and modern time. And they incorporate that into the story in ways that other movies never do. This results in a bunch of incredibly hilarious skits and sketches where Jean Reno gets to show off his absolutely magnificent deadpan delivery. Add to that some fantastic, anarchistic and completely messed up sequences with these two lunatics, which also proves that the French are the best at one thing: being upset. Nobody, not even the Italians, gets quite as upset as French people do in a French comedy. It is absolutely hilarious. These over-the-top performances that the side characters are responsible for are absolutely the joy of this movie. It is a fast-paced movie filled with anarchy and chaos and creativity, and there is a lot of really, really fun sequences to be had. And one of the major reasons why I think this movie works so well is one thing that they do, which they usually do not do in these type of movies. You see, there is this acceptance things that is always happening in these movies where the character understands how this world works and understands how, you know, so and such works. And they understand, you know, where they are. Christian Clavier, I don't think he ever was able to figure out exactly where he was. He still sort of believed that they are in their own time. He never understood it, and the commitment to his stupidity and also his grossness, the hygiene in medieval times wasn't quite up to the standards of today, is one of the things I enjoyed so much about this movie. Even when they came to, you know, the castle towards the end of the movie, and he says, you cannot defend this, it's, you know, too many open windows here. And that is absolutely correct. As you can see, the castle here in Stockholm, it has a little bit of the same problem. They will never be able to defend themselves if, you know, invading barbarians would come or anything like that. I think this movie is absolutely hilarious, but there is a couple of problems with it because it loses a bit of steam towards the third act of the movie. I don't quite know what it was that it lost. Maybe it is the fact that Jean Reno, you know, started to realizing how things works and, you know, where they are and how they view the French nobility back in the days. Maybe that was the thing that made this movie a little bit less funny and a little bit less raunchy and funny and entertaining. Now they were able to save this a little bit with a very good ending, which was logical and also was a little unexpected. I didn't see that thing coming. There is also a bit of a problem with the cinematography, which isn't great and also features a lot of tropes that they were using in the early to mid 90s when it comes to the style of editing and filming. The fisheye lenses, when people are sticking their nose so far into the camera that you can watch into their nostrils. There is also a couple of bad attempts at special effects, which more look like special defect, and those things have aged horrendously bad. But in the end, this is one of my favorite French comedies of all time, featuring a couple of excellent acting, fantastic writing. It feels almost like a Monty Python sketch that has gone rogue and become an actually functioning full-length feature film. Should you see this movie? Absolutely. Should you see the sequel? I don't think so. I haven't seen it and I have no plans of doing so, nor have I any inclination to watch the American remake that came out, I think it was 2001, because I just think it is a watered down version of this movie. This is a very, very funny French comedy with intelligent and hilarious and gross gags that blends together to a wonderful cocktail which shouldn't be missed, even though I think it is kind of difficult to find this movie these days. But if you can find it, do see it, because it is quite hilarious. I give The Visitors 81 points. It is a very entertaining, incredibly funny, raunchy, anarchistic and chaotic comedy with a lot of things you didn't see come and a lot of things that you think they're not going to do that, and then they do it. And then you think, well, they're not going to do it again. And then they do it again, and it's even funnier the second time. A good ending, a little bit of a sketchy third act. This is still funnier than about 95% of all comedies that have been released the last 5 years, which may say more about my taste in comedy than the state of comedy these days, but I digress. So have you seen The Visitors? Comment below, and I'll see you next time from Well So and So reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.